Grizzly.
And here we can see the entire match was restarted. We can again see top right, the map that is selected is the Arms Factory. We can see the Cowboy will be banned again. We can most likely see the same survivor team that we saw before, which was Priestess, Enchantress, Seer and Mercenary. But what I am curious to see is Wolf's pick on the Hunter side. So again, the Prisoner that's actually the first time that I'm going to see the Prisoner in a tournament environment, and that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to see on how these top teams use the Prisoner in these circumstances, tournament circumstances. So here we have the team that I was just referring to, the Enchantress. We still miss the Prisoner. We have the Seer, we have the Mercenary. What do you think will we see? Will we see the Bloody Queen as we just speculated in the first round, in the first match?
Unfortunately, I don't know too much about these two individual clans, but again, this is where it comes down to whether this is going to be a hunter that specializes in the typical meta, or is this a hunter that has spent an incredible amount of time focusing on some of the others. Especially with Arms Factory. With Arms Factory, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I usually consider Arms Factory more of a hunter-sided map. Some people disagree with me on that, and that's fine, because you also got to remember not all hunters are created equal. Some have a lot more map presence, but when I go on Arms Factory, I really get worried about if I'm going against that Dream Witch, going against that Bloody Queen. So, and what we can see here is we see that Seer, Mercenary, Prisoner, and we see that Enchantress, and again, that Cowboy ban. It's a very interesting ban for round one. Usually, again, what we see that Mercenary, the Mechanic, or the Seer typically.
Exactly. So we are just waiting on the Hunter. You already mentioned my beloved Feaster right there. What do you actually want to see? Do you have a little bit of an underdog when it comes to the Hunters that you would love to see during this tournament?
So honestly, Photographer. I'd really like to see a Photographer.
He can be extremely powerful, that's true. And we can see another Hellember pick. That seems to be...
Selection. So
let's just see what is going on. Let's...
So we're gonna load right in here to Arms Factory. Don't worry, we are waiting for all of this to load as well. And we see he's spawning in a point called the Ruins. We call this a Group 3. So this is a Group 3 spawn with the Hellember. And where he's usually going to go, if you go towards the factory over here, there's two people who spawn there and one person that spawns right in the middle. So this, depending on which hunter you have, this is a really good spawn point because you have 3 survivors who are really right close near to you. You see that swing just in case if somebody was camping that area, but he's going to take this down. And that's one of the things that's really good about Prisoner is it forces you to take that down and you can really buy a lot of time.
Please keep going. I'm getting a little bit of freeze frames right now. Please jump in.
Yeah, sure. So what he's going to do is he's going to rotate over here to the Ruins. The Enchantress, I believe that is going to try to circle around to this pallet. Now remember, Hellember is very difficult in the beginning. Beautiful move from the Hellember right there. Gets the hit. Again, that's one of the things when it comes to kiting. It gets really difficult in regards to whether you think the hunter is going to swing or not. And some hunters actually argue that for some of these hunters, the most important swing is that first swing in the game. Do you walk right through the pallet and hope that they don't throw it down? Or do you swing at the pallet and hope that they throw the pallet down? And that's exactly what worked in his favor. And we're going to see, so he tried to do it again. And right there you see a real good discipline from the Seer, but we also have an excellent blink from the Hellember. And again, a Hellember gets really scary once he gets fed up. Once he's fed, he has a lot of good defense against the rocket chairs that are somewhat undervalued by the community, but not really because it's really difficult against top teams to really bring that presence up. But again, you get a good swing, you predict the movements of the survivors like this Hellember is doing. It goes a real long way. And we're going to see how good he's going to be in regards to defending these rocket chairs once he gets somebody done, or down rather. But we see that Enchantress has this... Yep, good stun right there, and she's still going to have one left, and she should be ready to use it again, and she's going to do a good job looping this area, using that left to right build most likely in order to really get a good boost. And we can see that Hellenberg is looking around, and is he going to throw this? Where's he might throw this towards middle, and he might try to come down and get a terror shock on the way down, but nope, didn't do it. Looks like it hit that tree right there. And again, something to remember too, Hellenberg, he's getting like 6 buffs, I think, last that I checked. Once that update comes out, he's going to have a lot of changes coming towards him that helps him in the early game. But really, you can see the survivors are doing a good job at prioritizing taking these ciphers down. And we're going to see what this Hellenberg can do. He's going to go after this mercenary. Is this mercenary going to use an elbow pad? He does. Good job from the mercenary, making sure you're not taking an unnecessary hit. Very interesting. A lot of times mercenaries are so worried about using their elbow pads, they don't use them, but then they end up getting hit. So you're better off just using them so you can avoid the hit, so nobody has to go and heal you up. So excellent move from there. This Hellenberg strategy, I think the survivors are starting to read him a little bit, because what's going on now is he has a strategy where he really likes to swing at these pallets. And there's nothing wrong with that strategy. It's a strategy that's helping him out in the beginning of the match. But if survivors catch on to that, then they're going to wade into the corner of a pallet, and they're not going to expect you to run through. So that's where the kiting aspect of this game gets really, really interesting. What do you do? Do you throw that pallet down, or do you not? So let's see what he's going to do. He's going to move over here. Now this area is going to be actually changed soon. This map is going to be recalibrated. Actually, I think that's happening next week, if I recall. And we're going to see how he works over here. These survivors are doing a good job at trying to take these ciphers down. And this Hellenberg's looking to see where he needs to go. He's going to change to teleport. Still hasn't gotten anyone on the rocket chair yet. And really, the survivors are doing a good job at rotating. Survivors are doing a good job at communicating with one another. And you see that strategy again where you're swinging at the pallets. Again, that's helped them in the early game. Nothing wrong with that strategy. It's just a choice that you have to make. Good job from that to take down the pallet. Yep, he throws the pallet down. Let's see where Seer is going to run towards. He's going to throw that down. Probably put some distance and force him to take it down. Now Hellenberg is going to use his puppet over here. And he's really doing a good job at trying to get to the different sides of the map. I mean, remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is not easy using a Hellenberg all the time. But he has pretty good controls with this Hellenberg, and really the survivors are doing a good job at that rotation and really separating these ciphers across the map to force him to really move around. And that is so important, so incredibly important. They have one cipher remaining, and really forcing him to move around here, taking these puppets down. They're not trying to rush it. They're really making sure that they take these puppets down and force him to actually have to manually move his body around the map instead of being able to have that ability to constantly teleport and be able to pick up the puppet. So we see that this is down. They pop the cipher. Here we go. So this is an important point. He needs to at least get one survivor down. You do not want to have a four-person elimination. Four-person elimination equals 5 points. Put your team in a really big rut. So we're going to see what the Seer is going to do. And is he going to go to factory? Just to be careful, he may not. Let's see what the Hellenberg is going to do. Hellenberg is moving over here to the side. No one's there. And he has teleport available now. Is he going to use these? Okay, so they got 3 people who escaped. And we got to see if the Seer is going to be able to get out of here. I think Seer is looking for basement right now. And I don't have control over these characters, ladies and gentlemen. So yep, there we go. That is a 4-man escape. Excellent job from the survivors. Early game there, really decent rotation, being able to rotate into where the hunter initially spawned. That is usually a strategy that you'll see, because a lot of hunters, once they move away from those spawns, they don't really go back, which was interesting that Hellenberg juked back, but he did a good job at doing so because he predicted that the Enchantress would be there. Remember, that is a group 3 spawn right there. And what we can see here, 4 pallets destroyed, 4 strikes, even across the decoding, which was really good from the survivors. Really good decoding. You can see the mercenary, 139%. That's really good for a mercenary, especially with that decrease in decoding. And really, you're seeing the reason why we're probably going to have that buff with Hellenberg. That early game can be really difficult with them. But you know, I think Wolf had a pretty strong early game in regards to building up that presence and really trying to maximize the ability to use those puppets and teleporting across them. But Survivors did a really good job at countering that, really slowing the game down a little bit, not just rushing Cyphers and making sure that they don't take those puppets down, and that really hindered his ability to get across the map. So excellent job from these players, and a good round one, and we can see once again that the winners of this is going to be Eternal Soul, taking 5 points. And remember that this is a round-based tournament, so really what we need to see is we need ColtGun to also get a 4-person victory.
The game, and we all know how difficult it can be to get 4 survivors out of there, especially in a tournament environment. Right now we can see we have the same map as before. We have the Arms Factory. The survivor that is being banned is the lawyer, and on the survivor side, even with a lawyer ban, which well, I was at least expecting to see the Seer, Mercenary, maybe even the Mechanic, because these are just the meta picks when it comes to the survivors. But we are seeing a completely different survivor team. It is the Prisoner again, in combination with the Perfumer, the Cowboy, and the Priestess. And as you predicted it early, we are seeing a switch on the Hunter side. We just saw the Gamekeeper. Keep in mind, Persuable mentioned it, Eternal Soul is having the number 2 Gamekeeper on our server. Right now, switching through a few Hunters, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's going back to the Gamekeeper before the game starts, or maybe even the Bloody Queen, since she is extremely powerful. But again, we have to remember, he only needs to get 1 survivor out of the game to win, to make this first round a victory for the entire team. It seems like I can't really take. We are back to the Gamekeeper. Just have to wait what he's picking. I mean, usually people are picking the Hunter, and that's like the pick, but no, seems like
no. You're doing a good job. You were doing a good job. It's just that seeing the name Ravioli making me hungry. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking at a ravioli and I just got it in my head, like, you know, red sauce? Red sauce ravioli?
I mean, he's probably hungry too. He's hungry for some victories.
I like the name, though. Ravioli, you know? But yeah, we see that lawyer ban. That's an interesting selection, but I think that the Gamekeeper knows he's trying to get just 1 elimination in order for him to win this round, bring it for Eternal Soul. And here we are. We are going to go to now the second match of round 1 for Eternal Soul and ColtGun. We will see where that spawn point is. Once it loads in, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you a little bit about it from more of a strategical standpoint, tell you the group number and some of the things to possibly expect with this sort of layout. And so where he's spawning now is what we call no man's land, I believe. And this is group number 6. So you're going to have somebody spawned by Shack over here, and somebody spawned kind of by middle and factory. And so, yeah, there we go. Beautiful.
Really, really beautiful look. Just getting straight up to the Cowboy right here. And he's trying to get away, get to the pallet. Being careful. All right, there. You already called it. Having the peepers right there to really get an understanding on where the survivors are. Pulling the Cowboy towards him, and the first hit is right there. Good job so far, really putting pressure on the Cowboy right here. Because again, survivors know they need to get all survivors through the exit gate. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult. Yeah.
And we will see what this Cowboy is able to pull off in this area. Very, very good area for the Cowboy to be. See if he can lasso over him.
Good job.
Lasso's right in there. Beautiful move from that Cowboy.
Ooh, what a juke. Really good job, really good job. But we can see the Gamekeeper just coming through the window as well. Bring down the Cowboy, now bring him to the Cypher machine, and we can also see that the Perfumer is quite close to the Cowboy. Decoding over there.
This is the biggest counter strategy towards a Cowboy too, by the way, is that the best way to beat a Cowboy team is to find them first. And don't be too surprised if you see Hunters on Arms Factory. Beautiful hook. She's going to perfume now. Don't be too surprised if you see Hunters who actually just circle around the small map just to find the Cowboy first so they don't have to deal with it. Depend on the team composition.
And we can see he's going back to protect that Cowboy on the chair. But unfortunately, Perfumer took a lot of hits right there, making it a little difficult to rescue. And we can see that actually no one is circling in for a rescue. It seems like Prisoner and Priestess are just concentrating on decoding right here, which really gives Ravioli a good chance to get the first survive out of there. I don't see anyone going in for the rescue.
Right, so this is more of a strategy that would work in legendary rank mode. If somebody goes down and you feel like you're not going to be able to rescue them, it's better to just go and decode and then do possibly one long-term rescue, or rather one late rescue, because then you can catch up on the whole decoding thing and go for a tie. But when it comes to a tournament like this, they're really looking for all 4 survivors to escape, so that strategy isn't going to really work as well. And so, if I recall correctly, within the rules, this means that this hunter, they have won within this round because they got that one survivor down, which is what they were going for.
Exactly. That's what I just meant. Cowboy out of the game makes this the victory for the first round for Eternal Soul, but can still see Ravioli is going in with the Gamekeeper, double hooking the Prisoner right there, giving him the half damage that he needs to, you know, make him go down with a normal hit. Prisoner's on the chair. We can see Ravioli is finding the Perfumer again, who is not really in a good position to rescue the Prisoner. So Priestess might be able to go through to circle around the map to rescue, but Prisoner's already halfway down.
Yep, and we see that was a beautiful hook right through that. That was very good, and this is why Gamekeeper, after the adjustment, you got to be careful. I remember, you know, for a while there, we'd always say, "I'll never die to a Gamekeeper." Are you kidding me? we used to laugh at Gamekeepers and we'd have fun. You know, you post up the video on YouTube. Now after the adjustment with Gamekeeper, you're like, I don't think I'm gonna be playing as much.
That's really true. That's really true. I'm seeing a lot of Gamekeepers lately. The buff really made him a playable character, even in tournament situations like this, as we can clearly see right here. We have the Prisoner over there. Gamekeeper knows that he is in this area, leaves the Priestess on the ground, hitting the Prisoner right here, and that might be it. It's going back to the Priestess. She's healing up at around 70% right now, I would say. Not really able to get up in time. So what we're gonna see is right now Ravioli bringing the Priestess to the rocket chair. Prisoner actually might be able to get up in time, but since the Gamekeeper knows where the survivor is down, that's a really difficult, really difficult situation for the survivor.
This hunter did a really good job at being able to locate these survivors right away. Again, one of the good strategies against the Cowboys is to try to find that Cowboy immediately, early game. And again, ladies and gentlemen, that's called a Group 6 layout. Where he originally spawned, it was called No Man's Land. That's also going to get readjusted. They're going to add an environment over there. Pretty big rock and a wall with a pallet that's going to be really strong for the survivor. So that should be coming next week. But within that spawn point of Group 6, just like I said, very popular strategy to go towards Shack, because the only other area, there's nobody even on the other side of the map. They're within factory. They're all on that side, so they're all clustered there. And again, we can see an amazing 15 strikes from Ravioli. Excellent job from this hunter. I mean, the longest kite session was 54 seconds, really showing you the danger of Ravioli's Gamekeeper. And we can see that did a really good job at pressuring that Cowboy in the beginning. What was your most favorite moment in that match, Grizzly?
Dude, I always, as you just said, Gamekeeper was not really the best pick when it came to the hunter side, but nowadays it can be extremely dangerous. And we saw when he was hooking the Prisoner twice before actually hitting him and bringing him down. That is also a really good strategy when it comes to playing as Gamekeeper. Just hooking twice, giving a little bit of damage each time, and then bringing down the survivor right there. Into round 2, we can now see 2 survivors are being banned as well as a hunter. This time we see a quite common pick on the hunter ban. It is the Bloody Queen. We already talked about this. She is currently one of the strongest hunters, if not even the strongest hunter in the game. And therefore banning her is a good chance. We can a good idea. We can see on the survivor bans seems to be a Priestess, and the second survivor will be revealed in a few seconds. The map that we are going to play is... help me out right there.
Red shirt. Red shirt.
Red shirt. It's a small picture right there, so I wasn't really... Okay, so we're gonna see the red shirt, and survivor bands are Priestess and Enchantress. Alright, let's see. Again, we had Eternal Soul earlier winning on the survivor side. We are pretty much seeing that they banned the Enchantress that has been utilized earlier. This time we don't see the Enchantress, but we see the Cowboy being utilized that was also banned earlier. Now I'm extremely interested in seeing how they are going to ban, how they are utilizing the Cowboy, because he was the banned survivor. I guess he must be extremely good, and I'm really curious to see what he brings to the table. And
there's a strategy with Cowboy where when you're in big church, if somebody dies in the corner, not by any of the windows,
yes,
but that corner, it is very difficult for a hunter to counter that with a Cowboy waiting in the middle of church, because he's got 2 windows, and we saw that in the last tournament. So it's not surprising, from my perspective, to see Cowboy being utilized on Red Church. And again, interesting bands. We got Portal band, and we have Enchantress band, and and I couldn't resist that. And people are gonna know what that's from. That's funny. Anyways, I like that little pat my back. Like I make a little joke, and I'm like, yeah, that's funny. Like I'm the one
that's a good one.
Whether my own joke is funny.
Again, in the back of your head, you're already, oh, they're gonna laugh it. They're gonna laugh about that. That's a good one.
Oh, it's all right. I'm not gonna lie. That first round, I was a little hesitant. I was a little nervous doing this MC thing, and then I go and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna come back out. We're gonna come and we're gonna MC these rounds. We're gonna come out and bring our flavor, bring our energy. I'm feeling good now. Gonna get a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? And what we are going to see now is a good match with that Bloody Queen band, and here we are. Violinist. Yes, Violinist. As I predicted, pat on the back again, right? Oh my God, Swayable, stop it. What we're seeing here is Violinist is really coming to make a name for himself in tournament gameplay and being utilized. So if you don't mind, Grizzly, I would just like to explain what the position of the group is going to be and what we can expect. So this is called position group number 4. Don't be surprised if he immediately goes left. And sometimes hunters will immediately go left to the corner over there, but you got to be careful if you do that. We call that top broken or wedding broken, because if it is a mercenary, then you waste a lot of your time. And again, we're going to see where he's going to locate from or relocate to, and we see this person transitioning into Big Church. What are your eyes telling you, Boo Boo Grizzly?
Good job from circling around right there, and he found the Cowboy. And I'm honestly super excited to see the Violinist right here being utilized. We didn't see him in any tournaments before, so seeing him right now is, dude, that's gonna be interesting. Cowboy is preparing for a lasso trick right there, jumping through the window. Actually did not go through the window, was trying to juke and pretty much brought his attention back to the hunter, allowing the hunter to give him the first hit. Not bad, not bad.
I just realized that the trait for the Violinist is listen.
Oh, yeah, to really see where the survivors are.
Are they using? Oh, they're using listen. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
They're using it. Using it at its fullest extent, I guess. Oh, there comes the Cowboy again, but luckily the hunter did not see the Cowboy, luckily for the survivors, and he's now going for the Mercenary, which is not really a good survivor to go for early game. Actually dashing out of sight, and this is actually putting the survivors into a really good situation, because the hunter seems to struggle to actually find any of the survivors, giving them a lot of time to decode the cipher machines.
Right, and this is one of the emergence of Violinists. Don't expect to not, that's a double negative, but expect to see Violinists being used in this tournament, especially in the later rounds. Interesting to see Violinists using or being used in round 2, but there are a lot of players who are trying to specialize in violinists, especially, believe it or not, in the bigger maps. The bigger maps, you're seeing a lot, especially photographer mains, utilizing violinists. And again, this is not the last that we're going to see violinists in this tournament. If you can get that ability down, you can do a lot of damage. You get that instant hit and really being able to follow up with that with a regular attack. And, you know, there's some disagreement between violinists as to whether they take Seer down or Mercenary, because they feel like the Seer's Owl they can counter at various times. Good stun from Kitten. Going to buy a lot of time for them to be able to relocate towards this big church.
As you just said, I am expecting to see him as well. He can be extremely dangerous. I think everyone who is watching already faced at least one good violinist player in his life or in her life, and not gonna lie, he can be such a strong hunter. Right now, we just have to give it to Eternal Soul. They are really relocating, really good relocation of the survivors right here. That's what I want to say. We also saw that the Perfumer was healing up the Cowboy, and they are already down to 2 Cypher machines. Look at that one. That is already at about 70% as well. So that's gonna be a really difficult task for the Hunter to actually bring down the survivors, especially if they keep doing such an amazing job relocating and circling around. What we also have to say, the violinist was not using his ability that much during this match, and yeah, survivors are doing a good job.
See if they can get the stun here. Beautiful stun. That was a beautiful stun. And let's see where the survivors are going to relocate now towards. They are at 1 Cypher, so you know these are a lot of. I believe Eternal Soul has tier 6s, and they're doing they understand how to rotate. They understand the strengths and weaknesses of this map, and they're really going to use that to their advantage. But yeah, just as you pointed out, one of the big things with violinists is getting that skill down. The idea is that you use your skill, you get that hit, and that's really going to allow you to follow up with a regular. It's like a modified version of what we usually see with Ripper and that Foggy Blade, in the sense of the importance of hitting, or Feaster with his tentacle. And really being able to get that skill placement down is one of the most important parts. And again, all ciphers have been decoded.
Exactly. I just want to throw to them, all cipher machines have been decoded while the Hunter was trying to go to the exit gate. Sadly for the Hunter, he went to the wrong exit gate, didn't find any survivors right there. They were doing a fantastic job circling around the entire map and circling to the exit gate that the Hunter wasn't expecting them to go to, and therefore making this another 4 survivor escape, just as they showed us during the first round, giving them 5 points. Eternal Soul is right now at 5 points in the second round. This means that ColtGun needs to follow the lead of Eternal Soul. They need to get 4 survivors out of there to tie this round. If they are not able to get 4 survivors out of there, they will lose round number 2, and that will ultimately send Eternal Soul into the next bracket. Exactly that. Right, I kind of thought that would happen, not gonna lie. And we can see that we are again seeing the lawyer. Maybe we're gonna see the lawyer band. Maybe we're gonna see a Seer, a Mercenary, and a Mechanic band, because they're one of the best characters on the survivor side. So what we are seeing right here is the lawyer and Seer band. I want to repeat myself right here. Ravioli only needs to get 1 survivor out of the game to decide this round for Eternal Soul and make this ultimately the win for this team. And it seems like we might see a guard 26, which would be a nice surprise. You already said it, you're predicting to see a bunch of guard 26 in the tournament. And
Game and Grizzly, your mic is a little shoddy right now. You may want to try to readjust that, okay? And as he was saying, we got Gamekeeper being banned, we got the Seer and the Lawyer being banned. You know what? You better fear the Lawyer, boo-boo. You better fear the Lawyer. That map attack. There we go. Next rap about Lawyer's map. Oh, that was a good... Hey, that just worked out. and he can't even congratulate that because his mic's not working right now. And we see Bonbon. We're going to see how he's going to be able to utilize his Bonbon. Again, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Bonbon has really made a name for himself, especially among other tournament gameplays and other servers on these smaller maps. Bonbon is not a character that you should underestimate, and I think we all cry a little bit inside whenever, I know I do. Maybe I'm just talking about myself here, right? But I know going against a Bonbon can be a very annoying, scary thing. And it really comes down to those bomb placements. So let's see what Ravioli has in their pocket, because that is the biggest factor to this.
So can you hear me again? Is it better?
I can hear you. Now Ravioli is looking at Axe Boy. We're going to see, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about a hunter until I see which hunter this individual chooses.
Exactly. That is exactly what I was talking earlier. I was like, okay, usually in tournament situations, we're just going to see the hunter that they are picking and that's it. But they are playing with our feelings right here, showing us all these hunters.
See, Ravioli feels bad for us. Ravioli's like, Persuadable been talking about that Bonbon. I need to bring the Bonbon out. And here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I will at least tell you the group strategies and what we're about to see in the beginning there. And then we're going to also ask Grizzly what his expert eyes, his Grizzly eyes are analyzing within this match. And here we go. We are going to call this, I believe it's a group 1 layout. So you're going to have somebody in front of them and you're going to have somebody that at Wedding. And so really what this Bonbon needs to choose is, do I go towards Wedding, which would be to the left, or do I go towards the straight area? Typically, some hunters will go straight because 2 survivors are usually over here, whereas there's only 1 towards Wed, and you go over there, and if it's mercenary, then you can waste a whole bunch of time. And let's see if they can get these bomb placements on this perfumer. Puts her perfume down. Let's see what she's able to do here. Is she able to move? He might be able to hit her with a regular attack because of that placement. And what are you seeing, Grizzly? What are your thoughts?
Good job so far from the perfumer, really avoiding these bombs. Again, with the guard 26, he can really make these bombs work out for him with the, how do you like to say it, double tap bombs? Double, something double,
that
right?
1-2 tap, boo-boo.
1-2 tap, exactly. So you can see perfumer is down with another normal hit. And that's the first survivor that Ravioli will bring to the rocket chair. And we saw that Ravioli was trying to do the 1-tap hit with the bombs, just throwing down the first bomb, and before it explodes, throwing down another one that will hit in connection. Perfumer was really able to avoid that, but took the real hits though. There you can see protecting. Nice one. There we see what I was talking about. Good. Oh, there comes the rescue. There comes the flare gun. Survivors of the chair. Coordinator already took it with the bomb. He is still trying to get more damage with the bombs going, hitting the coordinator and concentrating on the perfumer. Again,
exactly.
Only one survivor needs to.
Blink.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a very beautiful blink. And one of the things that I want to touch up on is Ravioli's ability to make sure that they took down that global portal, so they wouldn't have to worry about any sort of escape. And because he took that global portal down, he didn't have a lot of time to put down those 40-second bombs, which is a popular strategy, but not all Bonbons actually use that strategy. So we see this sort of other strategy of just using the regular bombs to try to do as much damage as possible.
Job.
Yep, good job. He's trying to hit that hit.
Right,
yeah, there we go. Beautiful move from Ravioli's Bonbon.
Good job. Bring down the cowboy, really protecting the perfume. Again, they only need one survivor out of the game, and that is going to happen right now. There's no one in range to rescue the perfumer. Cowboy is on the chair too, and as you already said, that was a beautiful blink, really concentrating on the perfumer because, you know, bring down the one survivor. And what we can see right here is really these one-tap bombs hitting the survivors. And let's see if he can actually hit her with the... Yeah, good job with the... What is this bomb called?
So that's the remote bomb. That's the controlled bomb. Where yeah, so that was a very good controlled motion. You throw it straight right directly there because he was able to get that hit. So he's able to get that hit and that the regular bomb hit, and you throw your remote bomb or your controlled bomb in there, you can follow through. And really, we're
Exactly.
seeing this Bonbon use one of those strategies that we talked about before. There's two different strategies that Bonbons like to use. Some prefer putting a 40-second bomb down, and other Bonbons don't like doing that. And so we're seeing Ravioli's strategy here of just putting regular bombs down as the survivor comes forward.
Exactly, and he's just trying to find the last survivor, he's trying to find the coordinator. Coordinator was actually using a flare gun on the first rescue. That was giving Ravioli the chance to just bring everyone to the chair without even worrying about the flare gun. He's just trying to one-tap her again and just bring her down with a normal hit, and there it comes! Coordinator is down as well. This is another 4 survivor elimination. Most likely, yes, there we go to the rocket chair. 4 survivor elimination gives Eternal Soul another 5 points. This is pretty much 2 perfect rounds in a row for Eternal Soul. And yeah, deciding this fight between Eternal Soul and ColtGun for themselves. Eternal Soul will continue in this tournament, moving on to the next bracket. And that means ColtGun is eliminated, will not proceed during this tournament.
Eternal Soul really shows how dangerous their hunters can be in regards to using that gamekeeper as well as using that bonbon. So the question is are we going to see these hunters being selected later down the road? You got to ask yourself, did we see all of Ravioli's